Now hackers are not humans. They automatically scrap the entire world every day, every second. Today, hacking vendors, it is very easy. More than 60 to 70% of the cybersecurity needs that has been fulfilled from India. So there is a big difference between a compliant and a security, actually, how secure they are. As it is so easy now. A lot of many attack vectors are coming into place, actually. I can hack the same company, same vulnerability in different ways.
Hello and a very warm welcome. I'm Gitanjali and you're watching TYS podcast, where today we talk about cyber security. So cyber threats today aren't just evolving. They are outpacing traditional defenses. So what if you could think like a hacker even before a hacker reaches you? So for more insights on this, today we are joined by the CTO of CyberMindr. That is a fully automated cybersecurity platform. So we have with us Mr. Sudheer Kannumali. So let's welcome him to the show. Sudheer, a very warm welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure for me to having in your podcast.
All right, so let's start from the very beginning. Let's start with your professional journey. So tell us about your journey with CyberMindr.
I started my career as a pen tester, actually. So then I grew myself into red teaming space. Red teaming is a service where we hack companies to stay proactively, hunt their loopholes, actually. So it's been 15 years, I'm into that category. So then one of the things that we didn't started this company just to start a company, though, actually. When we are doing this red teaming services again and again for the same organizations, we always had a full system compromises, so every time. So then the question is, every time we are able to break in, probably if an attacker tries, attacker also can break in, actually. How proactively can secure themselves? That's a question, the people ask me, saying. Then we put forth our brains, we have a smart people at the board, and we started, orchestrating, okay, how attacker, if I am an attacker,
so
how I can attack.
started thinking like
an attacker.
Yeah, all right.
Okay. Then we studied a lot of attacks as well. From past 15 years, we studied more than 1,000 attacks, how they got breached, where the initial attack starts from. Actually, the biggest question is, let's say I want to target any company. From the attacker's perspective, where they will start. That's where we started our journey by domain name, actually. For just like an entity name, for the organization name, we can triage the entire digital footprint, like going into the deep about their organization. So what is their businesses like, what in which field they are operating, and what is their digital footprints are like. We go in deep.
All right. So what made you realize that something was broken here in cybersecurity?
See, one of the biggest thing is, I saw many companies, like companies that doesn't have cybersecurity professionals, they are broken badly. The companies who has very mature cybersecurity professionals, even though they are broken. So one of the biggest challenge for the companies in today's world is the pace. The hackers are growing with the AI, the attack vectors, as it is so easy now. A lot of many attack vectors are coming into place, actually. I can hack the same, company, same vulnerability in different ways. So if the defenders are closing the loop at one side, the same loop can be opened again. We are into that era, actually.
So if we talk about, because you've been in the field for more than 15 years. So how were those times compared to today? Has it become easier for hackers these days? Yeah,
why? Because at those times, it's every data and people used to sit at office. So there is only one entry point called firewalls. It's guarded by firewalls. Okay, now the people are not sitting at office. The applications are in cloud. And so now everything is in internet. So now everyone is available, every asset is available for a hacker's hand.
Okay, so it's become much easier for hackers
these
days.
It's much easier, yeah.
All right. So we can say that the companies feel secure while they're not. The reality is different, right?
Yeah, the reality is very different. Why? Because the hackers are always stay updated, every hack, because they have a very coordinated community between them, and they know each threat vector very well. But because they are hacking the entire globe, actually, they are very tight. But as organizations, they are not integrated as a whole ecosystem. That's where the organizations are not learning at the pace the hackers are doing today. That's a very systematic gap. So the people will think that, I have SOC 2 Type 2 compliance, I have a lot of compliances, I have regulations, I'm spending a lot of money into it, there are a lot of people into it and all the stuff. But the reality is, when they really check, saying that, is there, susceptible for hacks. So if somebody can hack me, they can hack me. So that's what they have to think.
So we trust big brands today. So are they really secure, like we feel they are, we believe they are?
So the big brands, if you ask me how secure they are, I say no. But how compliant are they? Yes. So there's a big difference between a compliant and a security, actually, how secure they are. So because big brands, they have their own challenges, because big brands has a big digital footprint. It is very hard to come up with full-fledged security. There are sometimes here and there the breaches will happen, but it's all important is how we are responding to a breach, how proactively we are responding to a breach, how proactively we are hunting ourselves. That matters for the organizations.
So now that we're talking about big organizations, so tell us, what is that one major risk that leaders are ignoring today?
AI is the biggest risk that leaders are ignoring today. Why? Because the people want to leverage AI for the digital transformation, for the application development, and a lot of coders, they are doing it, actually. But other side of it, the hackers also, they are using AI, and artificial intelligence will bring lot of there are a lot of options and attack vectors within hands, within seconds, or within minutes, actually. So now, if I am an attacker, if I know one technique, I learned it very hard way, but AI brings me at my desk hundreds of techniques within minutes. Actually, that's the biggest risk that people has to incorporate in today's world.
Okay. So what surprised you working with the enterprise security teams?
What surprised with the enterprise security team is, like, most of the enterprises today, they have got best teams, actually. They have got best tools, and they have got best techniques, they got best compliance programs. And when they see it, actually, they're board, so everything is rosy, they feel they'll give a lot of confidence to the board people, saying that we are very secure and all the stuff. But when they really look into it, actually, how faster they are closing the threats, because let's say the enterprise world, there are many employees will be there. Each employees, everyone, they are working on the internet. They do mistakes and they don't care about security at all. And when they're doing a lot of digital transformation, that's where the lot of vulnerabilities, they are producing it. At what scale they are closing that gaps, that's very important today. So it's a continuous battle. We are in a digital era, so we have to battle ourselves. We have to battle, the organization has to battle much faster pace than all hackers combined together.
So like you just mentioned, that hackers these days are using AI, because they get multiple options on how to hack, right? So does AI also provide a way or something, how to avoid these cyber threats? Are you using AI to prevent cyber threats?
Yeah, so since our platform, we use the same techniques that the hackers does, actually. So we use AI extensively. So we simulate attacks. So our platform is like, you put your domain name. I can give the complete systemic errors that what you have done your previous employees, or at an application layer, or what is that you already got breached, what is you're going to be breached. So that's very important, actually. So that systematic, the attack paths, we call that as an attack paths. Those attack paths we generate via AI today.
All right. So basically, AI is also helping in avoiding cyber threats, right? So what is the biggest AI myth in cybersecurity today?
Biggest AI myth in cybersecurity today is, like, people are thinking that, okay, if I bring one solution with AI, it can solve everything. So, but cybersecurity is all about, it is not the coverage of breadth, it's a coverage of depth. So that's a myth. So if the people thinking today is like, if I bring one big vendor, he can solve my security problem. No. So cybersecurity is always, it is about the skin in the game.
So if we talk about sectors, so which sector according to you faces the biggest AI driven risks?
See, biggest sector is banking. So that AI driven risk. Why? Because the users today, if you see that the users have started using net banking, actually the users have started mobile banking, the users have started UPI, and we hold the largest transactions in the world via UPIs. Actually, it is very easy for the hacker to create links, and it is very easy to hackers for today in today's AI world to fish somebody or to fool somebody actually. So that's where we have to be very cautious in this world.
So now let's talk about the geopolitical tools. So how have cyber threats evolved here?
So in geopolitical, we are in an era, so we are now at the beginning of the 21st century, and if you see the now Iran war and a lot of wars is happening between the countries to countries. And at the time, what will happen is, if somebody can target as a nation state attackers, so when geopolitical things will erupt, it's the governments actually, they will support the adversaries. Actually, they will fund a lot of money into it actually. At the time, so most of the hackers, they always go the easy hanging fruits like governmental sites and all those stuff. So at the time when the governmental sites actually is accidentally leaking our mobile numbers and all those stuff, that will be a problem for us. It will create a chaos so within the ecosystem.
So we are also seeing attacks on government figures. So what's changing?
Why? Because see, it is like in today's AI world, it is possible. Previously, it is not possible to attack the government figures. But if you see the deepfake videos, they can very accurately they can impersonate about them. Actually, they can fool them. That is one thing. Second thing is getting work done. So let's say some people there, I seen some of the videos, are getting triggered as the Prime Minister Modi are public figures into Jaishankar and all. They don't do it as in this country, but they do into the remotest countries like Kenya, Nigeria and all those stuff. So because they don't know much about it, so they always take the public figures' faces because their photos everywhere. It is easy to construct their videos, and from there they will go on.
So basically we can say that this deep fake voice and video, they are becoming, they have changed the landscape, the threat landscape.
Yeah, they changed the threat landscape, yeah.
And what are we doing to protect ourselves or to avoid these threats?
See, one thing is we have to evolve. Actually, it is earlier. Most of the time, when we say we join to the calls, video calls, and all the stuff, when we say something, so we used to get it done. But it's not that we have to always keep second level of a validation. When we even join calls or something like that, when somebody says something, it is always some critical things. Actually, we are like a large money transfer. Usually this happens to the large money transfers or approvals and all those stuff. Those we have to re-verify via email or like something. It's always re-verify is the one which saves actually. Even I saw some of the deepfake videos where they're exactly replicating their CFO and the people has transferred the money. Actually, they came back and so I really disheartened on that actually. Yeah.
Okay.
They are very sophisticated. The attacks are very sophisticated now.
So we need to follow, step by step, verification processes.
Yeah.
All right. So what lessons did you learn building CyberMindr?
So one of the biggest lessons I learned by building the CyberMindr is, even though we are on par with the hackers, it's like the organizations sometimes they want to respond, but because of some natural clock within the organization, they can't fix the issues that they want to be actually. That's where, even though the organizations are proactively working. So there are some gaps are there. So that is very bad. So that's because of the AI. I think as humans, we need to beat AI in terms of cybersecurity.
All right. So where are cyber threats heading next?
So it's like if you see the artificial intelligence, why the people is named as an artificial intelligence is because of the margin of error. So we are now into intelligence game. Okay, so when it's become a real intelligence, actually, at the time, today nobody has fully implemented AI into it actually, but when in another down the line 10 years or 15 years, when we integrated our lot of processes, lot of systems into AI, that's become real intelligence because margin of errors will come down and it's become business. At the time, so it is really chaotic actually. For that, so we have to build that particular ecosystem from now. The future is very volatile, but we have to take steps now because at the time, even though you want to take steps, it will be very expensive.
Right, so we need to take steps now. So that is what I was coming to next. What, according to you, should organizations or government do differently to avoid these threats?
So one is, so the government today is pushing compliances, but they are really not tracking the output of the compliances. What is the goal of the compliances? To set the processes, okay, to set the certain flow within the organization. Let's say if I'm putting some compliances, that means I want organizations to maintain that security standards, but government is not really checking that standards is improving or not. So governments are like has to enforce. They have to check what are the outcomes actually, what really my compliances are doing, what outcomes we are getting, how many cyber frauds we are really reducing it as a country. So who are and some proactive approach, like who are really hacking us, what is the what kind of a threat actors they are behind us and all those stuff. So at least the government has to educate government employees and government people, because today in the biggest risk is even the government people doesn't know how to hack to cybersecurity. That's a problem.
So how do hackers, they choose their target? Do they, randomly choose their target, or
no,
is there
so
some process?
that is one thing. It has changed in past 5 years. So earlier, randomly the hackers are humans. Okay, they used to go beyond certain companies. Now hackers are not humans actually. Now the entire hacking ecosystem is turned into bots and malwares. They automatically scrap the entire world every day, every second. So thus hackers will picking up the most vulnerable assets and most vulnerable companies, and they will started their strategy saying that how to exfiltrate money from that particular guy. So that's the strategy now. So that's why the hackers and the companies has to be more proactive than before. So earlier, if only some bad luck comes, we used to get breached. Now it's not like that. There's no luck factor now. We have to work continuously.
Right, because hackers don't just randomly choose their victims.
Yeah.
They have strategies, like you said. All right, so third-party risks, they seem to be getting a lot of attention these days. So why is it becoming such a big blind spot now?
See, why? Because it's again the systemic process. Let's say first party, second party, and third party. It's all connected as a businesses, right? So if I can't hack one company, I can try with a legitimate company of theirs, actually a subsidiary of theirs or a vendor of that particular company, so that I can fool. Because today hacking vendors, it is very easy because most of the time the vendors are very small. They don't have budget to for security and cyber security. And there's like in India, so most of the vendors are like in the range of turnover in the range of 0 to 100 crores, and they can't afford really what cybersecurity is there for the organizations. That's where they hack them, and they will come into the organizations.
Okay. So as the CTO of CyberMindr, what challenges did you face, are you currently facing?
So one of the biggest challenges is cybersecurity is very expensive for the organizations in India. so to bring solutions towards it actually. So one of the biggest thing that we are working is like how to bring down the cost of the solution. See, we want to be very affordable. We want to bring down the cost, saying that, and what is the cheapest methods to get safe. That is very important. That's what the biggest challenge that we are addressing. And another biggest challenge is skill gap. So since we all know that India serves the entire global accounts and we are a back office of it. So most of the cybersecurity needs India is serving today, more than 60 to 70% of the cybersecurity needs that has been fulfilled from India actually. So that means, so we are serving the entire world with the bigger paychecks, but we are not giving attention to on our own. That's another challenge actually. So because of that, we are not able to get very skilled resources and the skilled resources at an affordable price actually. So when you compare to the skill versus affordability, the cybersecurity is paying the highest money towards experiences.
All right. So thank you so much, Sudheer, for joining us today and for those wonderful insights on cybersecurity. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you on the show today.
Yeah, thank you so much. Pleasure is mine too. Yeah.
And with this, it's a wrap in TYS podcast. Thank you so much for watching.